The midwife turned to Okenwa and whispered urgently, "We need the village chief priest. The child has refused to comfort, and only he can help." Without hesitation, Okenwa dashed off into the night, his heart pounding in his chest as he raced to the village shrine. Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Amawa, in the heart of Igbo land, lived a family. This family was no ordinary family. They were known as the family of Okenwa and Ojugo. Okenwa, a hard-working man, and his wife Ojugo, a kind-hearted woman, had been married for many years. Together, they had three lovely children, Obunike, Chidalo, and Ifeanyi. Life in the village was not easy for Okenwa and his family. Every day, Okenwa would wake up before dawn to toil on the farm, working tirelessly to provide for his family. He did odd jobs for people in the village, hoping to earn enough money to make ends meet. Meanwhile, Ojugo would gather vegetables from their small garden and sell them at the village market with the help of her children. Despite their hard work, Okenwa and his family faced many challenges. They struggled to put food on the table, and the villagers looked down on them, seeing them as a poor family. Okenwa and Ojugo often felt ashamed and isolated from the community. They couldn't afford to attend social gatherings or women's meetings because they couldn't buy the expensive outfits and uniforms required. One day, as Okenwa returned home from the fields, he found Ojugo sitting outside their humble dwelling, sorting through vegetables for the market. He sighed heavily and sat down beside her, wiping the sweat from his brow. "My wife," Okenwa said, his voice tired but filled with love, "I worry about our children. They deserve better than this life of hardship." Ojugo looked up at her husband with concern etched on her face. "I know, Okenwa, but what can we do? We must continue to work hard and have faith that things will improve." The eldest son, Obunike, overheard their conversation and approached them, his young face serious with determination. "Father, mother, I will work even harder on the farm. I want to help support our family." Okenwa and Ojugo smiled at their son, proud of his willingness to help. "Thank you, Obunike," Okenwa said, ruffling his son's hair affectionately. "We are grateful for your help." As the days passed, Okenwa and his family continued to face their challenges with strength and resilience. Despite their hardship, they remained united and determined to overcome their circumstances. They found solace in each other's love and support. And though they may not have had material wealth, they were rich in spirit. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Okenwa and his family continued to live their lives in the village of Amawa. Each day brought its own set of challenges, but they faced it with courage and determination. One sunny morning, as Okenwa was tending to his crops in the field, his wife Ojugo approached him with a worried expression on her face. "My husband, I have something to tell you," she said, placing a hand on her belly. Okenwa looked up, concern flickering in his eyes. "What is it, my dear?" he asked, noticing the sadness in her voice. "I'm pregnant," Ojugo whispered, her voice tinged with both joy and sorrow. Okenwa's heart sank at the news. They had agreed not to have another child. knowing the hardships they already faced with their three children. But he knew they couldn't change what had been done. "We will see this through together, my wife," he said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Despite their mixed emotions, Okenwa and Ojugo continued to work hard to provide for their growing family. Ojugo, with her bulging belly, persisted in selling vegetables at the village market, ignoring the mocking whispers of the villagers. She knew she had to support her family no matter what others said. Meanwhile, Okenwa toiled in the fields from dawn till dusk, his muscles aching from the strenuous labor. He felt a heavy burden on his shoulders, knowing that he had to provide for his wife and children even in the face of adversity. As the months passed, Ojugo's belly grew larger and the villagers' mockery intensified. They whispered behind her back, criticizing her for bringing another mouth to feed into their already struggling family. But Ojugo paid no heed to their cruel words. She remained focused on her family and their well-being. The children, too, felt the weight of the villagers' scorn. They were taunted and bullied whenever they ventured outside to play with the other village children. Hurt and ashamed, they retreated into the safety of their humble huts, finding solace in each other's company. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness descended upon the village, Okenwa gathered his family around him. "My dear wife, my beloved children," he began, his voice filled with love and determination. "I know times are tough, but we must stay strong. We are a family, and together we can overcome any obstacle." His words filled the small hut with hope, and for a brief moment, the weight of their hardships lifted. Okenwa and his family held each other close, finding comfort in their bond and the love that bound them together. In the village of Agbo, there existed a peculiar belief. It was said that a heavily pregnant woman should not walk alone on the road after noon for fear that a spirit might possess her unborn child. Though such a thing had never happened in the village's history, the elders warned against tempting fate. One day, Ojugo found herself in need of foodstuffs from the village market to prepare a meal for her family. Despite the villagers' warnings, she believed she could make it back before noon and set out on her journey. With a market bag slung over her shoulder, she walked briskly through the narrow paths of the village. Upon reaching the bustling market, Ojugo quickly gathered the items she needed and prepared to make her way back home. But her plans were thwarted when a commotion erupted nearby. A vendor accused her of stealing one of her foodstuffs, causing Ojugo to freeze in shock. Tears welled up in her eyes and she vehemently denied the accusation. But the vendor insisted, drawing a crowd around them. As Ojugo's bag was searched and nothing was found, the vendor suddenly remembered that she had already sold the missing item to another customer. With a sheepish apology, she dismissed the crowd, leaving Ojugo feeling shaken and embarrassed. With a heavy heart, Ojugo began her journey back home. The sun was high in the sky, and the village road stretched out before her, desolate and lonely. Fear gnawed at her insides as she clutched her swollen belly, praying for someone, anyone, to appear and accompany her on her journey. But no one came. As she walked the lonely path, her heart pounding in her chest, a strange sensation washed over her. A shimmering figure materialized before her, its form radiant and ethereal. Ojugo's breath caught in her throat as the figure reached out and touched her belly, a warmth spreading through her body. In an instant, the figure vanished, leaving Ojugo standing alone on the deserted road, her mind reeling with confusion and fear. Trembling, she hurried home, the image of the mysterious encounter burning in her mind. When she arrived home, she found Okenwa waiting for her, his brow furrowed with concern. She recounted her ordeal, from the first accusation at the market to the encounter on the road. Okenwa listened intently, his expression thoughtful. "All is well, my love," he reassured, wrapping her in a comforting embrace. "We are safe now, and that is all that matters." With a sigh of relief, Ojugo joined her husband in the kitchen, and together they prepared a meal for their family. As they sat down to eat, the warmth of their love and the laughter of their children filled the room, banishing the lingering fear from Ojugo's heart. And so, with bellies full and hearts light, they retired to bed, grateful for each other's company and the simple joys of family life. But little did they know, their encounter with the mysterious figure was only the beginning of a journey that would lead them down a path fraught with danger and discovery. As Ojugo's due date approached, she found herself plagued by relentless nightmares. Each night, she would toss and turn in her sleep, haunted by a vision of the mysterious figure she had encountered on the lonely village road. Try as she might, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gripped her heart. One fateful day, darkness descended upon the village. Ojugo went into labor. Panic surged through her veins as she cried out in pain, her cries echoing through the quiet night air. Okenwa, frantic with worry, rushed to summon the village midwife, knowing that time was of the essence. The midwife arrived swiftly, her withered hands steady as she prepared to assist in the birth. With her trusted assistant by her side, she worked tirelessly to bring the child into the world. But despite their efforts, the baby refused to emerge, causing Ojugo's strength to wane with each passing moment. Desperate for help, the midwife turned to Okenwa and whispered urgently, "We need the village chief priest. The child has refused to comfort, and only he can help." Without hesitation, Okenwa dashed off into the night, his heart pounding in his chest as he raced to the village shrine. He found the chief priest deep in meditation, his face illuminated by flickering candlelight. "Ezemo," Okenwa said, breathless from his exertion, "please, you must come. My wife is in labor, and the child refuses to be born." The chief priest's eyes widened in concern as he rose to his feet, his robes billowing around him. "I will come at once," he declared, his voice resonating with authority. Together, Okenwa and the chief priest hurried back to the humble dwelling where Ojugo lay in agony. The chief priest wasted no time in performing his ancient rituals, chanting incantations and calling upon the spirits for guidance. As the night wore on and Ojugo's cries grew louder, The chief priest's efforts intensified, and finally, with a triumphant cry, the baby girl emerged into the world, her cries echoing through the stillness of the night. The villagers gathered outside, their faces filled with wonder as they caught sight of the beautiful child cradled in her mother's arms. She was a vision of perfection, with eyes as bright as stars and hair as curly as a spring breeze. The chief priest approached Okenwa and Ojugo, his expression grave. "This child is special," he declared. "Her destiny is intertwined with that of the gods. You must not name her until the gods had chosen a name for her." Okenwa and his family listened with trepidation, their hearts heavy with the weight of the chief priest's words. But for now, they rejoiced in the birth of their beautiful daughter, grateful for her safe arrival into the world. 7 days had passed since the birth of the beautiful baby girl, and the day for her naming ceremony had finally arrived. The villagers buzzed with excitement as they gathered in Okenwa's compound, eager to witness the auspicious occasion. The chief priest, in his ceremonial robes, arrived punctually, his presence commanding the attention of the entire village. With a solemn air, he requested the presence of the child, and Okenwa and Ojugo proudly brought forth their precious daughter. As the villagers looked on with bated breath, the chief priest invoked the spirits, speaking words of reverence and respect. He beseeched the gods to bless the child and grant her a name worthy of her divine origins. After a moment of silence, the chief priest proclaimed, "Her name shall be Mmirimma, for she is as beautiful as the flowing waters of the river." The villagers erupted into cheers and applause, rejoicing in the chosen name for the special child. Okenwa and Ojugo beamed with pride as they held their daughter close, grateful for the blessings bestowed upon them. They received congratulations from their fellow villagers, who marveled at the sight of the radiant baby girl. Once the festivities had concluded and the villagers had returned to their homes, the chief priest remained behind, beckoning Okenwa and Ojugo to join him for a private discussion. They followed him solemnly, their hearts heavy with anticipation. In the privacy of their home, the chief priest spoke in hushed tones, revealing secrets that sent shivers down Okenwa and Ojugo's spines. He explained that Mmirimma was no ordinary child. She was a bearer of riches and wealth, sent to alleviate their suffering and wipe away their tears. "But beware," the chief priest warned, his voice grave. "There is one condition you must adhere to. Never let Mmirimma go to sleep in anger, for if she does, she may never wake up." Okenwa and Ojugo listened intently, their minds racing with the weight of the chief priest's words. They vowed to heed his advice, knowing that the fate of their precious daughter hung in the balance. As the chief priest departed, leaving them alone with their thoughts, Okenwa and Ojugo gazed upon Mmirimma's sleeping form with a mixture of love and trepidation. They knew that their lives had been forever changed by the arrival of their special daughter, and they would do everything in their power to protect her from harm. Okenwa's uncle, who seized their lands, returned them on his deathbed. Okenwa happily claimed back what rightfully belongs to him. With the return of Okenwa's ancestral lands and the discovery of an oil well within their property, the fortunes of Okenwa and his family changed overnight. They were catapulted from a life of hardship to one of unimaginable wealth and prosperity. The news spread like wildfire through the village of Amawa, and soon everyone knew of the newfound riches of the once humbled family. The villagers marveled at the grandeur of their new home, the first of its kind in the village, and flocked to them, eager to share in their good fortune. Okenwa and his family were hailed as heroes, their names spoken with reverence and admiration. They attended every meeting and social gatherings with grace and dignity, their heads held high as they mingled with the highest echelons of village society. But amidst the celebrations and accolades, a subtle shift occurred within the family. Mmirimma, the beautiful and charming 7-year-old girl, became the center of attention, basking in the adoration and love showered upon her by her parents and the villagers alike. Obunike, Chidalo and Ifeanyi, Okenwa and Ojugo's other children, watched with a mixture of pride and resentment as their sister became the favorite. They longed for the days when they were all treated equally, when their parents' love was shared among them without reservation. But despite their feelings of jealousy, they continued to love and care for their sister, knowing that she was special and must be protected at all costs. Whenever Mmirimma displayed even the slightest hint of anger, Ojugo would scold her other children, reminding them of the chief priest's warning. No matter what Mmirimma does, let her be, Ojugo would say sternly, her eyes flashing with determination. We must keep her happy and content, for her anger could bring great harm. And so, amidst the wealth and luxury that now surrounded them, Okenwa and his family navigated the delicate balance between their newfound status and the ancient warning that hung over them like a dark cloud. As the years passed, Mmirimma blossomed into a teenager, but with her newfound maturity came a change in attitude. She grew increasingly rude and disrespectful towards her family, but Okenwa and Ojugo, filled with fear, chose to condone her behavior rather than discipline her. Their eldest child, Obunike, and their first daughter, Chidalo, had traveled outside their state to pursue their studies, leaving only their youngest son, Ifeanyi, to bear the brunt of Mmirimma's bullying. Ifeanyi, a kind-hearted boy of 16, loved his family dearly, but he found himself caught in the crossfire of his sister's wrath. Whenever he tried to stand up to Mmirimma, Okenwa would punish him, leaving Ifeanyi feeling unloved and unwanted. Fearing for his well-being, Ifeanyi begged his parents to let him join his siblings outside the state, hoping to escape the turmoil at home. At first, Okenwa and Ojugo refused, but eventually they relented, realizing it was for the best. With Ifeanyi gone, Mmirimma's behavior only worsened. She picked fights with other children and refused to eat, waiting for her parents to scold her. But they remained silent, cowed by their fears of her anger. One day, their daughter Chidalo returned from school, her arrival sparking a confrontation that would change their family forever. Mmirimma, consumed by jealousy and resentment, lashed out at Chidalo, pouring away her food in a fit of rage. Enraged by her sister's action, Chidalo retaliated, beating Mmirimma in a rare display of defiance. When Okenwa and Ojugo returned home to find Mmirimma bruised and crying, they demanded an explanation from Chidalo. But instead of addressing their daughter's behavior, they turned on Chidalo, beating her mercilessly for daring to stand up to Mmirimma. Heartbroken and disillusioned, Chidalo packed her bags and left, vowing never to return. Despite their guilt and regret, Okenwa and Ojugo felt powerless to change their circumstances, unwilling to risk losing their wealth. And so, as Chidalo walked away from their family home, tears streaming down her cheeks, Okenwa and Ojugo watched in silence, their hearts heavy with sorrow and regret. But little did they know, the consequences of their action would soon catch up with them, threatening to tear their family apart even further. As years went by, the once close-knit family of Okenwa and Ojugo found themselves torn apart by the actions of their youngest daughter, Mmirimma. Despite their best efforts to control her behavior, Mmirimma's wild antics only escalated, leaving her parents feeling helpless and afraid. Meanwhile, their three other older children, Obunike, Chidalu and Ifeanyi, refused to return home or ask for money from their parents. Instead, they worked hard, taking on odd jobs and helping others to make ends meet. Though their parents longed to see them and ensure their well-being, their attempts to reach out went unanswered. Ojugo, filled with worry and longing, resolved to visit her children in the city, but Mmirimma's threat held her back, instilling a deep fear within her that paralyzed her from taking action. As the years passed and their children remained distant, tragedy struck when Okenwa fell ill, his once strong body weakened by the weight of neglect and worry, leaving Ojugo to carry the burden alone. Mmirimma, now 18 years old, continued to spiral out of control, bringing home different boys and leading a reckless lifestyle that left her parents reeling in despair. Despite their attempts to reason with her, their words fell on deaf ears, and Mmirimma's behavior only worsened. In the city, Obunike and Chidalo had graduated from university and found employment. They worked tirelessly to support themselves and their younger brother Ifeanyi, who was in his second year of studies. Determined to make a better life for themselves, they swore never to return to the village of Amawa, where painful memories and shattered dreams awaited them. And so, as the divide between the family grew wider, each member grappled with their own struggles and fears, longing for the day when they could be reunited and find solace in each other's love once more. As time marched on, Ojugo found herself unable to bear the sight of her beloved husband Okenwa, his health deteriorating before her eyes. One fateful day, she witnessed Mmirimma hurling insult at her father, her words cutting deep into Okenwa's already frail spirit. Fueled by a surge of anger and grief, Ojugo lashed out at Mmirimma, raining down blows upon her in a fight of rage. That night, Mmirimma cried herself to sleep, her heart heavy with sorrow and regret. But when morning dawned, she did not stir from her slumber. The news of Mmirimma's untimely death spread like wildfire throughout the village, casting a pall of sadness over Okenwa and Ojugo's humble abode. Though they mourned the loss of their daughter, Okenwa and Ojugo felt a sense of relief wash over them, knowing that the turmoil and strife that had plagued their family for so long had finally come to an end. But their respite was short-lived, for tragedy struck once more when Okenwa's illness took a turn for the worse, leaving him on the brink of death. In the blink of an eye, everything they had worked for so hard, they lost. Their wealth vanished, their home sold, and they were forced to retreat to their old hut in the village, where memories of happier times haunted their every waking moment. Desperate for a glimmer of hope, Ojugo embarked on a journey to find their children, her heart heavy with regret for the pain she had caused them. She found Ifeanyi, their youngest son. She pleaded with him to forgive her. Tears streamed down Ifeanyi's face as he embraced his mother, his heart heavy with the weight of years of separation and longing. Together, they returned to the city, where they were reunited with Obunike and Chidalo, their eldest children. Despite the years of estrangement, their bond remained unbroken, and they welcomed Ojugo back into their fold with open arms. But tragedy struck once more when they returned to Amawa village to reconcile with their father, only to meet him dead. Okenwa passed away shortly after Ojugo left the village. As they laid him to rest, tears flowed freely as they said their final goodbyes to their beloved father and husband. In the aftermath of Okenwa's death, the family found solace in each other's love and support. They took their mother away from the village. Obunike worked tirelessly to become a successful engineer, while Chidalo pursued her dream of becoming a certified medical doctor. As for Ifeanyi, he set his sights on a career in technology, traveling abroad to chase his ambitions. And so, with their mother by their side, they forged ahead, leaving behind the pain and sorrow of the past as they embraced a future filled with hope and possibility. Though they bore the scars of their past mistakes, they remained grateful for the second chance life had bestowed upon them, cherishing each moment they shared as a family. And so, the story of Okenwa and Ojugu came to an end, a tale of love, loss, and redemption that will be remembered for generations to come. Thank you for watching this exciting story on African Stories. If you liked it and felt happy, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.